This needs to be talked about. I have to challenge this statement. Do people flock to them because they're good, or are they good because people flock to them? I actually think there's a different reason that people go to these guards that have been around for a really long time and perform at a really high level. And that does not have to do with the high level of performance, although they have a high level of performance, obviously. It has to do with the history and the management of the team. So a lot of times what ends up happening is these independent teams crop up and they live for like 5 to 10 years and then they're gone, and there's no retribution for these former alumni. There's no history to build upon. And I think that is a really big part of why people go to these teams. They go to Pride of Cincinnati. They go to Diamante. They go to Blessed Sacrament. They go to CGT because these teams have been around for a long time and they've been managed in such a way that they're gonna be around for a long time. So you can perform with pride and then you can be retired as a performer and become an instructor yourself and go on to watch finals every year and cheer for your alumni team, for your alma mater of Pride of Cincinnati. I think that's a big thing. And also people go there to learn how to better teach and how to better run their own programs. So this is something that maybe we need to start looking at as a whole entire community of how are we running our independent teams. I know in our personal circuit, this is really problematic. Don't get me wrong, this is not the circuit's fault whatsoever, okay? I'm not trying to put the blame on the circuit. I'm just saying this is what happens. So looking back at the history of Spintronics, we've been around for 13 years. We have been competing for the last 11 years. And in our time, there is only one other program that is an independent program. It is run by a university, and it's the only other program that has been around as long as we've been in existence. They've been around longer than us. I want to say they're 20, 25 years old, associated with a college. So all of the independent teams that are truly independent of any college or anything else are gone. All of the ones that existed when we started are gone. And if I look at our circuit website, I can go back 8 years, and even 8 years ago, all of those programs are gone. The independent teams just don't have that consistency of being well run enough to last beyond about 5 to 7 years long. That's it. All right, so I don't like discussing a problem without having some idea of how to go about proposing or at least discussing a solution for it. So one of the thoughts I have is that we really, as a community, we really need to look at our instructor training and how it's offered, who it's offered to, who has access to it, how they can access it, and just getting it in front of people. And I think that's something where we need to get Color Guard more on social media and get them out in front of the public, basically, because we have these students who come straight out of high school and they come straight out of their independent guard, and a lot of times they have these ideas of how they want to run things, which pertains to show design, technique, all that sort of stuff, which is great, but those are instructor jobs and not director jobs. And so if someone comes out of a program and they age out or whatever and they want to start their own independent program, they have no idea about what goes on behind the scenes. And even if, like myself, they have some idea when they start, there's so much more to learn. It's not just about understanding how Color Guard works. It's about understanding how business works. It's about understanding how the government works. It's about understanding how funding and budgeting and all of those things work. So we really need to make sure there's a distinction or an encouragement maybe for people to go into directing who have some sort of experience with that sort of stuff, rather than just allowing anybody to make any independent guard and just create it out of nowhere. I like the idea that it's easy to create your own independent guard because, there's some people, I don't know that I would have gotten into my own independent guard if it wasn't just a simple process of creating your own independent guard. But at the same time, there's a huge learning curve, and there are so many guards that don't last because of the inexperience of the director not knowing how to run a business, not knowing how to run a not-for-profit, not understanding even sometimes how to be a teacher of students. Sometimes they get into it for an ego problem. Sometimes they get into it because they have a vendetta against an old instructor, and those are really negative reasons to start your own guard, but it happens sometimes. And, or maybe you're like me and you just want something to be there for the students in your area. So there's so many reasons to start one, but there's so much more we have to learn about how to run it in order to get the culture going so that you can actually make the guard last and attract people to your program. All right, so what resources are out there and what do we need to do to solve this problem, basically? The first resource I'm going to encourage everybody to go to is WGI.org, because they do have a lot of instructor resources. They have a lot of videos and documentation and things like how to teach color guard, how to instruct in technique, how to build up your program and that sort of stuff. But they also have like the rule books, and they have lists of things you need in order to start your own independent team. They've got great resources. I know when we were looking into like insurance, they are absolutely the best place for that. And we've had insurance through multiple other places before we got into WGI, and I wish we would have gotten into WGI earlier because we would have saved so much money and so much time just going through them. There's also instructional websites. There's ColorGuard EDU. There are, of course, we have a lot of instructor resources on Spintronixguard. I wrote a book. Here it is. It's also been translated into Spanish. So if you go to the Spintronixguard website and you order my book, make sure you get the right language for you, because you don't want to accidentally order the Spanish one if you don't speak Spanish. A book I just purchased is called Performing at the Top of Your Game by Sherry Doherty. I'm going to read this one as soon as I'm done reading all of my pregnancy and parenting books that I just got. We also do instructor classes at the Spintronics camp every summer, and you can download videos of the instructor classes from our website from the last couple of years because we did them virtually, and that's just a resource that's available to us now. But going beyond being an instructor, if you really want to direct and run your own program, the best thing you can have is leadership training and some sort of business background. I know after I finished my second master's degree, I actually looked into getting a third master's degree, getting an MBA. And so I took some MBA classes. I never actually finished the whole degree because I was just like, why do I need a third master's degree? That's crazy. But taking those business classes and those leadership classes were so helpful in creating this like culture that I wanted to have, and being able to run things smoothly and interact with people in such a way that would help us to continually grow our programs. So if you can get some sort of business degree or just a business background, doesn't even have to be a degree. If you know how to run a business, you're going to be so much more successful in running your program. So hopefully this has been a helpful series for you guys. Ask me questions. I will respond hopefully in video, because this has actually been kind of fun, aside from the fact that I'm like exhausted all day. Baby Victor says hi.